Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Anderson, and today's presentation is entitled The 50-50 Solution for Marital Conflict. It could be used, this solution that I'm going to offer you could be used for any kind of conflict between two or more people, but I am speaking specifically about marriages and intimate relationships. And if you listen to some of my other talks, you know that I think of two people living together. They're married. They're living together without a legal contract, but they are married. They have all the same issues. And usually an additional issue called they don't have a full commitment, but they are married without a full commitment. So it works. What I'm going to offer you today works for people who live together and people who are formally married. Either way, it still applies. Now, I've been advised to remind you that if you like this video or any of the others that I have produced, please hit like and subscribe. That will help me a great deal, and it will help the system spread these around to other people like you who may find them useful. So please hit like and subscribe. And I'm going to make a list of things today in a way I don't usually make in a talk. So you might want that list at the end of this. You can email me and I will send the list to you, the entire outline of what I'm going to talk about today. The email is DRA at dracoach.com. DRA@dracoach.com. So if you want the list, and there's like 3 different lists I'm going to give you today in this talk. So it might be useful to you to go back over the material that way in addition to listening to this. So the 50-50 solution for marriage conflict. Now, please forgive me. Because I have so many lists today, I'm going to have to use my phone to look at my list so I don't make mistakes. So if you see the phone in the background here coming up like that, it means I'm reading it so I don't give you the wrong information. So let's start with the classic common marital conflict. What's involved in that? The way most couples deal with each other when they disagree or upset. This is so common. And by the way, I've been working with couples since 1970, so now that I'm going into 53 years of this. It seems to be incredibly common. I've done it myself. I work with people who do it. My friends, I watch them do it, especially the couples that come to me. This is the classic or common marital conflict, I would say, ingredients. It has 6 parts to it. Part number 1, in that common way of fighting with each other, each partner is convinced that the other partner is the one who is wrong. Recognize yourself already? Each partner is convinced that the other person is wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, each partner is convinced that she or he has little or no responsibility in creating the difficulty. So not only am I right and you're wrong, I don't have any responsibility in this problem. Or if I do, just a little bit doesn't hardly even matter. It's my problem, my contribution. Yours, whoo, really big. Mine, almost nothing or nothing. Okay. That's the way it usually is. Number 3, because of that, each partner feels powerless in changing his or her partner. You see, if we have conflict, I think it's all on you, and I try to change you. I can't change you, then I feel powerless. So each partner feels powerless in changing his or her partner. And number 4, most attempts at resolving the conflict are frequently fruitless and frustrating. Right. So I'm right, you're wrong. I want you to change, you don't change. I feel powerless. We try to resolve it, sort of. And it doesn't work. I feel frustrated and nothing happened that was useful. Number 5, at best, in this style of doing conflict, partners agree to disagree. Okay, well, we can't resolve it. We'll just agree to disagree. At worst, The conflict escalates, and both parties become hurt, angry, and resentful, or worse. And what happens with this part is maybe you're having a disagreement about which way to drive to the bank. I mean, couples fight about this kind of stuff, which is insignificant, really. But the way you fight about it, I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm blaming you, and I'm innocent of wrongdoing in this. The way you fight about it harms the relationship. The issue is not very significant, but the way you communicate in your conflict becomes toxic to the relationship. And if that happens, number 6 occurs. Conflict persists and erodes meaningful communication, trust, and intimacy. It affects your love relationship. This way of dealing with conflict, which is incredibly common, I'd say 90% or more, maybe 95% of couples most of the time enter into differences with this kind of attitude. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm blaming you. You're to blame for this problem, not me. Okay, so before I go to the solution, there's another list I want to share with you. It's called Truths and Insights. Please pay attention to this because it's really going to help you when it gets to the resolution part. We need to let go of the first paradigm for conflict, blaming the other person and being powerless, and open ourselves to a new possibility. In order to do that, it helps to know these other things that I'm going to share with you. Number 1, blaming reinforces belief in your own impotence, powerlessness, and sense of victimization. If I blame you for a problem, I'm saying, I don't have any power here, you're doing it to me. Therefore, number 2, blaming activates resentment. Now, you come to understand, if you really do this process and you get it, resentment is toxic to healthy, loving relationships. You do not want to go into resentment if you can avoid it. How do you do that? Stop the freaking blaming. I'm not sorry. Number 3, resentment erodes trust, intimacy, and love, as I said. Number 4, now you can see that blaming creates powerlessness and resentment, and that's toxic to you and your relationship and your partner. Okay. Number 4, taking responsibility, which is where we're going to go in a few minutes. Taking responsibility requires courage. Because, my friends, I've been guilty of this too, what I'm going to say now. It is really true. Blaming is an act of cowardice. Blaming is an act of cowardice. Taking responsibility requires the opposite of cowardice, which is courage. It takes courage when I switch from, I'm right, you're wrong, this is all on you, to, hey, wait a minute. I'm going to look for my responsibility in this difficulty. All right. Number 5, taking responsibility releases you from impotence, from victimization, from resentment, and ultimately from hopelessness about your relationship. Taking responsibility releases you from those nasty, toxic things: impotence, powerlessness, a sense of being a victim, resentment, and hopelessness. Remember, though, it takes courage. It really does. Number 6, taking responsibility opens your mind to new and helpful insights that can lead to positive solutions to conflict. Once I open my mind by taking responsibility, I've taken the focus off of you, I put it on me, and now I start to be able to see my power in resolving something. A new option appears inside of me that now maybe I can do something about. I can't change you, but I certainly can work on changing myself. So number 6, taking responsibility opens your mind to new and helpful insights that can lead to positive solutions to conflict. Number 7, this is really interesting, this next one to me, because when you taking responsibility builds self-awareness, I'm looking at me instead of you, so I'm focused on what's going on with me. Taking responsibility builds self-awareness and self-love, self-esteem, self-love. Why? Because it takes courage that builds my good sense of myself. I'm a person now who has some courage instead of a wimp who's always got to blame everybody else and act like a little victim in this relationship. That's what I'm doing. When I act like a coward, I blame you. Okay? There is no self-love and self-esteem in cowardice. Taking responsibility moves me and you towards self-awareness because I'm now focused on Matthew, not the bad other person. And that process helps me care more and feel better about myself. And then number 8, finally, taking responsibility helps build a meaningful partnership between you and your partner. And that's what you want in a healthy, loving relationship. You want a meaningful, loving, intimate partnership that gets stronger and stronger, not weaker and weaker. Okay, now, I'm going to tell you now the different aspects or steps in the 50-50 marital conflict solution process. It basically means you both are going to take 50% responsibility. That makes a partnership. Its partnerships are equal partnerships in which both people take responsibility for everything. 50%. We're partners. We do it together. Not I do it or you do it. It's we do it together and I have my part. So when I focus on my part and not yours, I'm going to do my part better. And you know what? My experience over the years of working with couples, when one person changes for the positive, it is the greatest, most powerful confrontation to their partner that they could possibly make. And it has often amazing positive results. If it didn't, I wouldn't be telling you this, okay? Trust me. I've sat for thousands of hours over the last 53 years listening to and interacting with couples about their conflict. If they got this and applied this, they would eliminate 95% of their need for people like me, professionals who work with couples, in their life. %, that's a pretty good deal. Okay. The 50-50 marital conflict solution process, I hope your mind is open by now, at least a little bit, because this is new information to most people. I'm sorry, even to many marriage counselors don't get this. So I'm hoping they're also listening. It'll help. Number 1, each partner agrees to learn a new process for resolving conflict. And this is an important part. Each partner agrees to learn a new process for resolving conflict that not only creates satisfactory resolution, but also makes the relationship stronger. You imagine that? We're going to have a way of interacting with each other about the things we disagree or our conflict in a way that not only resolves it, but our relationship becomes stronger out of that experience of resolving conflict. We just don't go away with an okay solution. We come away good and strong in our connection. That's pretty fantastic. Number 2, each partner agrees to the assumption, that's important, agrees to the assumption that each one has 50% responsibility for the creation of each and every problem in the relationship. Now, I'll tell you a story about that later, but I'm going to come back to that. But that's an agreement to an assumption. I'm responsible for my part, you're responsible for yours, and I have a part that's equal to 50%. Okay? 50% is mine. Number 3, each partner agrees to become diligent in searching for her or his 50% contribution to the problem. This creates ownership. Okay, honey, we're having a problem. I'm going to look at my part in creating it. My part. I'm not going to be focused on how you're wrong. I'm going to take ownership of my part. Number 4, each partner agrees to stop putting energy into her partner's contribution. I'm not going to put all my energy into, oh, I know what's wrong with you. It's okay, now I'm going to look at myself. This step, number 4, if I stop putting energy into what is wrong with you, it eliminates blame. Remember, blame is toxic, so it eliminates blame. Number 5, each partner then shares his contribution with her or his partner in an attempt to become true partners in conflict resolution. Once I figure out that I have some responsibility, start looking for it, and I find out what it is, I share it with my partner. I say, honey, I figured out I'm doing this, is contributing. In my attempt to become a true partner in the conflict resolution process. If I'm just blaming you, there's no process. There's just blame. If I'm taking responsibility for my part and I'm telling you, I figured out what it is, here's what it is. Here's the things I'm doing or not doing that are contributing actively or passively to this difficulty. I am making an honest, authentic attempt at becoming a true partner with you in conflict resolution. It's a very big deal. Number 6, each partner once I know what it is, each partner makes positive, noticeable changes that contribute to a satisfactory solution for both partners. Not just for me. It's not just about me. This is a partnership. Each partner then makes positive changes that are noticeable to both people that contribute to a satisfactory solution for both partners. So I take responsibility, I look at myself, I notice what I'm doing, I tell you about it, and I do something about it. And that shows you I'm in the game with you. Number 7 step, which is really important. Partners then identify and celebrate their partner's contributions to the solution and ultimate satisfaction and strengthening of the relationship. So the 7th step is, once we've done all that together, we then say, let's celebrate it. We did great together. I took my part, you took your part. We are now together in a strong partnership where we can deal with stuff together because we love each other and we're willing to take responsibility. We have courage to make this thing not just get resolved, but to get stronger. That's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Now, you say, well, okay, Matthew, how does this work? I'm going to give you some examples. A not so good example, a good example of the old paradigm. Maybe 15 years ago, a couple comes to my office. Very smart people, professional, very successful, both of them. These are not, these were up and coming, very intelligent, relatively mature. They were in their late 30s. Okay. They come in. I figured out very early in the first session that they came in because the wife was convinced that the husband was the one with the problem. He was what we call in the business the identified patient. So they come in, they start talking, and I listened to everything that was going on. I listened to both of them talk about it, and then we go on, we make another appointment, and we come into the next time, and we keep talking about it. And I finally, in the second session, I start talking about this diagram, this paradigm, about 50-50. She wasn't having it. She says, no, I don't think I had as much responsibility. At least she was honest. Okay. It's him. It's just so obviously him. Oh, God, the stuff that he does, Matthew, you wouldn't believe it. I said, I believe you. I believe he does it. I don't think you're making it up. He does the stuff you're talking about. I'm looking at how you contribute to it. No. I said, all right, you don't like 50-50? Do you like 80-20? She said, yeah, I like that. I would take 20%. Okay, I said, all right. What's your 20%? Crickets. For those of you who don't know this stuff, when you say crickets, you mean dead silence. That's pretty what that means. Nothing. I talked to her about it. I worked on it. We went into the third session. She was adamant. No, really and truly, I don't have 20%. It's all him. I finally said, okay, I can't help you. Can't take your money, can't have you come. If you're not willing to do this 50-50 thing, you're wasting your time and mine. I can't take your money ethically. Goodbye. I fired him. Now, tell you the truth, I don't usually do that. But that one, I just had a sense it was never going to go anyplace. I've been doing it maybe 35 years. By that time, I had a sense of probably what wasn't going to work. It's rare that I fire couples. Rare. This one, I'm glad I did. They're probably divorced now. However, now some examples. That was one. She didn't want to take any. Let's say a situation is the husband is an alcoholic. He drinks, no question about it. He's a problem. He gets DUI. He has other problems. Classic alcoholic. The wife sees herself as the victim of his drunkenness. Most people would say, yeah, he's the one with the problem. He's a drunk, blah, blah, blah. How is she be responsible for anything? She enables him, meaning helps the problem, increases the problem by making excuses for him and living in denial and unrealistic hope, which prevents her from setting the right boundaries and interacting with him in a way that basically says, hey, this is destroying our relationship. Something's got to be done about it, and I'm not going to tolerate it one more. She doesn't do that, she enables. That's part of her contribution. There might be some others, but starting out, that's pretty obvious. So somebody who's doing 50-50. Because I assume it's 50-50. I'm looking for the not so obvious contributions, which must be discovered in order for resolution to occur. If you have you see a problem and you solve 50% of it, what are you left with? Half of the problem. It's not going away until you know all of the contributing factors. They will just get activated over and over. Okay. Another one. The wife is a rageaholic. That means a person who's just angry a lot. The husband is one of those people who is almost always in relationship with a rageaholic. He doesn't express anger directly. He pushes it down. He looks on the surface maybe calmer, more together, more okay. He's a good guy. His wife is a crazy nut. She's angry all the time. He's got no responsibility. It's all on her. No. Every rageaholic that I've ever seen is in relationship with somebody like that. And guess what? That person is what we call, and people misuse this term a lot these days, that's what we call passive aggressive, meaning he is unconsciously hostile to his wife in ways he doesn't fully recognize, but irritate the holy crap out of her. He's late, he's turned off sexually, he's resentful, he's moody, whatever, but he doesn't see it, that that's his way of getting him back. Now, just throw one in there for you. Every victim gets revenge. Trust me, everybody who's a victim gets revenge on their partner. In an intimate relationship, if you see yourself as victimized, you can be sure you are finding a way to get revenge. And if you're not clear about it, it's even more dangerous because it's happening. It's happening. That's your 50%. Okay. Another one. The wife spends too much money. This could be the husband. In this case, it was the wife or is the wife. She goes over her monthly allowance every month. And I swear, I've had this story more than once. And the husband complains about it. He complains to their friends. He insults her, which is his contribution. He complains. And he also replenishes the allowance every month. That's called enabling. And then he insults her to friends, which she feels victimized. She gets him back by spending more. Whole thing works like that. That's the way it goes, around and around. All right. Two more. The husband becomes unwilling or unable to have sex. The wife feels like the victim. She wants to have sex as part of their relationship, but he's unable to do it or unwilling. So, why? The wife's part of it. One of the things that happens is she constantly humiliates him in public about that and other things. So she's enabling by her blaming, and it makes it worse. She's hostile to him. She's not looking at how she perpetuates her side of it. Reverse, the wife refuses to have frequent sex. The husband says, my wife, she's ice cold. Why? What's wrong? I'm ready to have sex 3-4 times a week. She wants nothing. What happens? I don't know what's wrong with her. It's so classic that in that kind of case, it's one of the first places I look, but it's because it's frequent, but it's not always that, is he puts absolutely no energy into being romantic. He wants it to be, okay, I'm ready. Let's go, baby. And she's thinking, I'm not a piece of meat that you just jump on at the end of the day. Oh, he's setting himself up by not doing something to then blame her for the results that he doesn't want to see. Now, they both have responsibility. And these things can be worked out if each person begins to do the assumptions that each one has responsibility. And I'm talking about 50-50. I'm talking about equal. I'm not talking about 80-20. I'm not talking about 60-40. When you really come to understand what happens in relationships, intimate relationships, it's a dynamic that things happen in a certain sense at the same time. One person does it that hurts. The other person does another thing that hurts. And in response, or at the same time, and you can't say chicken or egg, which comes first. It happens like that. It happens like that. But one person says, oh, it's you. It's you. It's you. I see what you're doing. I've learned how to listen to both sides and help figure that out. Now, if you really work on this, you will come to a place where, number one, you won't need people like me because we're expensive. Number two, you will have a stronger relationship. You will have a relationship that's better than almost every other couple's relationship you know of. It creates real power with your partner and possibilities. It makes for, ultimately, a relationship that starts to shrink the amount of conflict that you have and expands the possibility of joy, of satisfaction, of love, of intimacy, of trust, of working through all kinds of things that life wants to bring you. It is amazing. That's the kind of relationship I want you to have, and this is a major contributing factor to getting there, my friends. I hope you've listened. If you want this list, all the things that I mentioned in an outline, it's DrA@dracoach.com. Please hit like and subscribe, and God bless you in your relationship.